Hey there, welcome back into the Bulldog Blitz. I have the privilege to be joined by our two panelists. Stephen Peak is back in action, and we have Eric Brown back as always. Guys, thanks for being back on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, first things first, men's basketball season. We got the first look, even though it was an exhibition game, we got to see the Dogs out on the court. Just first impressions, getting a big 77-45 victory over DePaul. Eric, I'll start with you.
Well, the Bulldogs are loaded with talent this year. It's good to see everybody getting healthy, everyone getting back on the court. I thought this went the way an exhibition game is supposed to go. You got guys making shots. There are a lot of room for improvement too, which is good to see.
Yeah, certainly. The shooting started out kind of shaky as guys got rhythm and worked with who they saw on the court because the lineups changed a lot. But shots started going down, and I thought the defense was great all 40 minutes.
Well, you're right. One thing we got to see a lot of is different rotations. 14 different guys got onto the court, and a lot of different sets of five. Eric, which fivesome did you think that worked really well on the court together?
Well, there are just a lot of combinations that I really liked out there, and you can really tailor the five guys on the court to who you're playing. If you're going for a big lineup, it's Andrew Smith and Matt Howard on the court are great, and if you need more offensive off the bench, Zach Hahn is just lights out from three once again, and he's really improved. So I really like Zach on the court. I really like Sean in there. He's a great defensive player. He's improved his offensive game as well, which is nice to see.
Yeah, and if you didn't want to focus on the height factor, you could always go with the speed factor in that there's some guys who are better at working the space on the court and finding shots, and there are some guys who are fast, getting around, getting on the block, working the ball around. So there was a lot of options there for Brad Stevens. I really liked seeing Howard and Smith in there together. I like to see that middle get clogged up, but watching Van Zant and Leindecker and Hahn get their shots from around the perimeter was really nice to see too.
Well, you talk about Matt Howard. He's one of two players that were kind of coming off injuries. Ron Nord had that stress fracture, and Howard had tweaked his ankle a little bit. They looked pretty good out there. I don't know what you guys thought. Steve, what did you think with especially Ron Nord?
Yeah, well, Ronald in general just has the ability to flip the switch as an athlete. He's an incredibly nice guy off the court, easy to get along with, but when he gets on that court, he is just tenacious. And so I didn't see any sign of let up from him. I guess recently he's really come back to being 100%, but didn't see any signs of weakness from him. He really came out and played hard, drove in the lane a couple times, more than we saw last year. And then Howard, his minutes, didn't see anything from the knee from him.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Ron was really scrappy once again. He had 6 points, 5 assists, 4 steals. He's diving on the ball, loose on the floor for a loose ball. I really don't think he was affected by the injury. And Matt, I didn't think was affected by either. He didn't have his greatest game. I think he just needs to be a little bit more aggressive when he gets the ball in the paint and taking it to the basket because he can score on about anybody. And I think the rest of the guys on the team need to look for him in the post more because when he catches the ball, there's so many different options. He can score, he can dish it to our shooters, and when Matt Howard catches the ball in the post, that's a good thing for Butler.
And two guys that had a big offseason, Shelvin Mack and Gordon Hayward, getting to play in New Zealand. Leading scorers in yesterday's ball game. They look good. Shelvin was kind of quiet. He scored a quiet double-digit point total, and Gordon had some flashy moments, good around the basket, and had a couple big defensive plays. What'd you think of him today?
Well, I thought Shelvin was really explosive off the dribble, which is awesome to see. I think he's a lot tougher, he's a lot stronger, and his first dribble is so hard to guard, and he showed that by taking the ball to the hoop a couple times. Gordon, I didn't think he had his greatest game shooting from three, but he did, like you said, have a couple good defensive plays that led to fast breaks. And when he needs to, he's going to turn it up and shoot it the way we are customized to seeing it.
Yeah, I know Gordon started at 1 for 6 and started to get rolling there as time went on. But I thought more impressive than either of them scoring was the way they worked together. It's clear that time over the summer really paid off because I'd say a good majority of the fast breaks were started by either one of them and finished by either one of them too. They worked really well together.
I believe 21 minutes was the highest of anybody on the team that they got to see action on the court, and it was Andrew Smith, which was a big deal, the only freshman coming in. You were right, he was out there with Matt Howard. They were clogging up the middle. It looked like he kind of felt a little more comfortable as the game progressed. Is that what you saw, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, that's his first official college basketball game, so you're going to have a little bit of jitters opening the game. But I thought, yeah, he played well. He had 10 points, and he was also a great presence on the defensive end. And we have some big guys down there who are great shot blockers. People aren't going to want to drive it.
That's right, yeah. He looked tentative. It looked maybe like there were some jitters there. But it wasn't a bad tentative. It was kind of like, hey, I'm here now. It's time to go. And as the game progressed, he started making double moves and inside, looking to dish out, and then just taking the ball to the hoop because he's a strong kid. even though he's a freshman.
All right, let's change over to the women's team. They have their first exhibition game against DePaul on Monday. The preseason rankings came out, and they were third. Is that where you see them shaping up? Green Bay has been a dominant team for many years in the league. They're still number one. You think third is the right spot for them, Stephen?
Yeah, I'd say so. We lose one starter. We return a lot of people, but they haven't all made a name for themselves yet as the dominant force in the league. Third's a very respectable place, returning a lot of people, but I think the reason they might overachieve from that third spot is because their guard play is going to show up a lot more than did last year, and then of course you have Lester still being able to work the inside and the outside, and Thornton coming out to play too. So third's a good spot for them.
Yeah, I think that was fine to see. I think that they're going to make a run for the conference title. Green Bay lost 4 of their starters, so it's going to be a little bit of a rebuilding year. They're primed to be overtaken at the top spot. And Cleveland State, they're a great team. They've got great players on their team. We beat them twice last year, though, so I think Butler's going to come out strong, and it's going to be a fun year for basketball at Butler.
I was a little bit surprised when the first team and second team were picked. Not to say that Susan Lester and Brittany Bowen didn't deserve to be on there, but Mel Thornton has seemed to be a leader on this team. Was that the right choice, not keeping Mel off and putting Brittany and Susan on? Is that the way it should have been?
I don't think it's the right thing to leave someone with her abilities off that list. It really, I think, in my opinion, just says something about the other players in the league. Yeah. It's going to be a really tough year this year for all those girls because it's going to be a battle. A lot of teams have beaten each other in the past, or rebuilding, or coming back with all their rosters, and it doesn't really matter because they're all going to be playing as hard as they can for the full time. So a lot of the other players, respectable, put on the list, and Thornton just got left off of it.
Yeah, I thought Mel should have been put on the list. She averaged about 10 points a game last year and 7 rebounds, which are great numbers. But hopefully this will just cause her to play with a little bit of chip on her shoulder, and she'll come out ready to play once the season starts.
The football team took on Davidson, and the 5 victories they have in league play are against the 5 worst teams in the Pioneer League. These games are pretty close, and they need to start making it more of a statement, don't you think?
Yeah, big game against Dayton, who's also undefeated in the conference, and it's going to be a statement game. I think that the couple road wins they have are going to help push them through that time, though. Just the whole season has really been a great thing for them as players and as teammates because it was something that they haven't had in the past. They've been used to being a part of a team that has let down the fans, and they're not this year.
Like you said, they're not going out there and putting up statement games, but they are going up there and getting close victories. They're making big plays when it counts. Andrew Huck leading them on a 98-yard drive to win the game. What we really need to happen is the defense has been outstanding all year, I think, but the offense has had a little bit of letdowns. They weren't able to capitalize, got a touchdown brought back, missed field goal opportunity. I think once the defense starts clicking and then you get that offense the way it's been playing all year, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us on the show this week. We look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, stay with us on the Bulldog Blitz. Lots more to talk about after the break. The women's soccer team will start preparing for next year after their season was cut short this past weekend. The team was given a 5 seed and faced off against Loyola in the first round of the Horizon League tournament. Butler took an early 2-0 lead over the 4th-seeded Loyola Ramblers. However, the Bulldogs couldn't hold on to the lead, and the match was tied up at 2 at the end of regulation. The match went into penalty kicks, and Butler eventually came up short, losing 4-3 in PKs. Butler finished out the year with a record of 7-11-2. This is a prime time to be a fan of Butler sports. Fall sports teams are playing in some big league matches right before the championships, and winter sports are just getting started. Put those two together and you get an excellent weekend to watch some Butler athletics. Friday night, the women's volleyball team takes on Loyola at 7 p.m. Then on Saturday, you're treated to all the Butler sporting events that you can handle. The men's basketball team takes on Taylor in their last exhibition game of the season at 2 o'clock. Then at 3 p.m., the men's soccer team takes on Wright State outside in the Butler Bowl. The women's volleyball team wraps things up on Saturday night with their last regular season home game when they take on UIC at 7 p.m. Also, we might add that on Monday, the women's basketball team will take on DePaul in their first exhibition game of the season at 7 o'clock. That will just about do it for this week's episode of the Bulldog Blitz. Make sure to catch us on Comcast On Demand or online at youtube.com/Bulldog Blitz Sports. Until then, I'm Mark Minner. We'll see you right back here on the Bulldog Blitz.